Hello and welcome. Today I'm going to be answering your questions. So these questions came from a student and they asked some amazing questions. So I just kind of compiled it into a document and I wanted to answer it for everyone because I know if one student has these questions, a whole bunch of other students do. So let's get started. One of the questions I received was, what makes a good design? Within design, there are definitely really good designs, but I also don't necessarily think that there are bad designs. I think that the designs can just be refined into something that maybe gets the message across a little bit better or looks a little bit more visually appealing. So, to me, design is like a cake or a recipe. I'm going to use the cake analogy. When you're making a cake, you have base ingredients. You have sugar, you have flour, you have butter, you have a leavening agent. But then what makes the cake special is the flavoring you add to it. So I think design is a lot like making a cake. So our basic ingredients are hierarchy and alignment. So those are our flour, our sugar, our butter, the basics. But what makes a design special is your own style, and that can be the flavoring that you add to your design. So in order to create a good design, you need to have the basics, which is like hierarchy and alignment, and then you need to add your own style and flair to things. Now, an important aspect in the design area is observation. And what I mean about observation is looking at the things that are popular and implementing that into your design. And that is what I believe can make a design look dated or can make a design look on trend. So typically when we are designing, we want to be on trend and make it relevant to what is currently popular. And from year to year, this changes. So when I am observing, I like to take the tail end of one year and extend it until the next year. So for example, when I am looking at designs, I will look at popular TV shows, what kind of logos are being redesigned, like for food logos, and I like to make my design decisions based on that. So I draw a lot of inspiration from TV and film, and this is one of my favorite shows, Only Murders in the Building, and this picture is one of their like promo posters and stuff. Now, I do not own this image, so I do not mean any copyright infringement. But when I'm looking at this and I'm observing, what do I see? I can see hierarchy, I can see alignment, and I can see that the designer played with the foreground, middle ground, and background of this composition. And they're using a vintage aesthetic through color and font. So we can definitely see how they are using alignment in this design. So if we look over at the names at the upper right hand corner, we can see that they are in line with this rectangle. We can also see how they are sectioning off the pictures of the main characters into a grid. So as we can see, Selena Gomez is within like this lower right hand corner. The middle corner is Martin Short, and Steve Martin is over on the left hand corner. And what we are also seeing is the distinguish between the background, the middle ground, and the foreground. So the background is this darker color. The middle ground is the pictures of the characters, and the foreground are the rectangles that they're holding on to. So when I'm designing stuff this year, I am leaning heavily into this vintage inspired designs as well as layering flat objects. And we're going to get into that in the next observation. So I just finished watching Hawkeye, which I'm a little late to, but it is amazing. I loved it. I loved the whole art style of it. What is popular within this Hawkeye and what do I see? Well, very similar to Only Murders in the Building, we are seeing this flat design. Ukiyo-e, I believe it's pronounced. This is a type of woodblock printing and paint design that dates all the way back to 17th century Japan. Currently, we are seeing this reoccurring and having a modern take on it. And this design that they're currently using is very minimalistic, and they use simple lines, simple works, and they intertwine it with bold colors to make a dramatic design. So what they are doing in this is that they are layering flat objects, and they're using the same background, middle ground, and foreground. So for example, we have the background, which is the purple, and the bluish color is the, cityscape. The middle ground is this woodland area, and the foreground is the main character. And we're also seeing how everything is aligned. So we can see that they are kind of breaking things up not only horizontally but vertically. Through the use of the skyline, we're seeing that, it is broken up horizontally. We have like the main part of the sky, we have this cityscape, we have this kind of woodlandscape, and then we have this kind of foreground, which the main character is in. And we're also seeing that it is divided up vertically by the use of sort of sharp angles. So like we have a clear division of her bowstring within this composition right here. And right here we have the ending of this like half circle, and that goes into alignment with her shoulder arm area and her waist right here. So I think that when you're looking at designs and what makes a good design and what makes a bad design is that, you need to have hierarchy, you need to have alignment, and you kind of need to have an observation period where you look to see what is popular so that you can make designs that are current and relevant. I hope that I answered all of your questions. If you ever have any more questions, feel free to leave them in the review section, or you can message me through Udemy, and I'll be happy to answer your questions. Below, I have created a new resource file with some fun resources that I use when I'm designing, as well as links to my other courses.